Welcome to Midwest Paranormal Presents Paranormal Soup. I'm your host, Jason Bland. Tonight we have Debbie Viguie on. She is a best-selling New York Times author, oh man, I already butchered the beginning. New York Times best-selling author and a demonologist. So we're going to get into the dark side of the paranormal tonight. We've already done some talk and pre-show here a little bit about it, so I'm really excited. And of course, just coming up in a second, we'll have the World Wide Web of Weird. Of course, we also will have the open lines on Skype, second half of the show, or a little bit later. You can call in on the Skype line at oojblandoo. That's the Skype ID. Just look it up. It's oojblandoo, and just add me to contacts. You can call in, talk to Debbie, ask questions. If you have you need advice on your own situation, and maybe that might be demonic, she might be able to help you. I hope you don't have that kind of situation going on. I hope nobody does, but it does happen. We've talked about this a lot on the show, this subject. So if you have small ears in the vicinity, this might not be the best show for them when we start talking about things when it concerns the demonic. And if you're scared of this stuff, this might not be the show for you either. All right, guys, we'll be with you in just one sec. All right, welcome to another night of Paranormal Soup. I have, of course, my panel tonight is full. I got all my favorites in the panel. I got Jamie D, I got Judy, I got Todd. It's been a while since we had all three of them in the panel together. So, guys, can't wait for you to chip in on the World Wide Web of Weird. This was a little slow this week on the World Wide Web of Weird, but I do have some very interesting things. You know, I'd love to do it every Sunday night, so we can go ahead and get that rolling, and then we'll get to our guest, Debbie Viguie, and we'll talk about demons. That's always an interesting subject. All right, guys, let's go ahead and roll into the World Wide Web of Weird. Statue of Jesus opening its eyes and closing them. I think that's weird. I don't know what is. So tonight, this came from the Mirror. Statue of Jesus opens its eyes in church miracle. My audio went down for some reason. There we go. You guys hear me all right? Hit the wrong.
You were
button.
quiet. Put your back.
Okay. I hit the wrong button. I'm having all kinds of problems tonight. All right, so a statue of Jesus opens its eyes in a church miracle, which has left priests and paranormal investigators baffled. Paranormal investigations claim the spooky clip has not been doctored after spending weeks investigating the eerie claims. The spooky footage of Jesus' statue opening its eyes has left some believers claiming it's a miracle. Now, people have heard me talk a couple times in the last few episodes about my experience in a Catholic church with the baby Jesus moving its fingers. So I'm a believer in these things, but my thought was if I was recording it with a camera, it wouldn't have recorded it. It was somehow imprinted in my mind. It's hard for me to imagine it actually moving a statue, but maybe I'm wrong. Paranormal investigators have scoured over the video, which appears to show the figure quickly opening its eyes at a church in Mexico state of Calilla de Zaragoza. I totally butchered that. While a church service appears to continue in the background, the effigy then seems to slam its eyes shut in the eerie clip. While many believe the footage proves the statue in the chapel, I'm going to go ahead and play this, proves the statue in the chapel of San Leo came to life. Others say it was merely a optical illusion or the video was doctored. I would say video doctored over optical illusion. There it is. Let me actually share the audio. This is the button of echo, guys, so we get a little echo sometimes with this. It's odd. I'll leave right there. According to Eleconste.com AR, the footage was shot last June, but quickly went viral after it was posted on A-Dimensional this week, a web portal that researches unusual and paranormal cases. The site manager and paranormal activity expert Ivan Escamilla has quashed rumors there's anything unusual about the footage. It's weird. I don't know. It definitely could be doctored. I don't know. All right. This next one I have some qualms with here. You're going to see. I'm going to pause it before we get to the actual paranormal footage here, if it lets me pause it. All right. This one comes from The Sun. Off a Ghost is the call of the article. Is this proof of a ghost exists? Spooky footage appears to show a possessed trolley being guided around a warehouse. The paranormal activity spooks two warehouse workers who witnessed the trolley's movements. A spooky specter may have been caught on camera in this video as a trolley appears to come to life. Prepared for the debunk from me here in a second. The supernatural event is recorded on a security camera and was shared on Spanish paranormal channel Julio Ilmido TMN's YouTube channel earlier this week. Filmed at midday, the freaky footage appears to show the possessed trolley moving by itself before an invisible hand guides it around the corner of a table. The object continues to move even after spooked warehouse workers returns to the room, causing him to leap back into the shot. It's a longer video you can find on my YouTube playlist where they show the whole clip. I kind of edit it down because the workers go around and look at it trying to figure out what's going on. Seemingly disturbed by the man's reappearance in the room, the trolley stops moving. Convinced that he has witnessed a poltergeist, the employee calls to his colleague for help. The baffled bloke then returns the trolley to where it was when he left the room, following the furniture's attempt to escape the room. All watching the footage, one commenter said, "I won't be able to sleep." Really? But another was more skeptical, writing, "There's a gap in the floor. These platforms usually move because if there's a vibration, they tend to move alone." And that's what I'm going to say. I've worked in a back room once with this kind of floor, and I've seen these dollies move like this. They're not even, to me, I saw this go on a number of paranormal websites, like, it's paranormal. No, I've seen these trolleys do this a billion times. I never once thought it was paranormal. So I kind of call, not shenanigans, but misunderstood. These guys kind of freaked out. Maybe it is. Maybe they've never seen it. Maybe it could be paranormal. I don't know, but I doubt it.
I'm turning into a jackass skeptic. I'm so proud.
Right, there you go. Proud of me. All right, the next one I don't have an article for. This is one Todd sent to me late one night, of course, from Third Phase of the Moon. Let me get the audio up on this one.
Brett is here. He's loading me the photos. We're getting close-ups of what looks to be, as the source is describing, an explosion, that TR-3B explosion over Area 51. Well, okay.
Now, we've talked about the TR-3B on the show before.
We get a lot of incredible emails from around the world and major statements from alien abductions sharing this.
I call shenanigans, but
we cannot locate the source at all. We're just getting multiple emails of these photographs. We're enhancing these. Right away, I'm not seeing any Photoshop of any kind. So this is, number one, a good thing to look for. Let's look at this.
Todd, me and Todd were talking back and forth on this one, and Todd, you were saying like you wouldn't be able to tell it's Photoshop because it's a copy of a copy, basically, right?
Yeah. The further you break down something, the grainier, blurrier it gets. Yeah, you're not going to.
Yeah. I mean, I'm super interested in the TR-3B, but it seems like most of the stuff I see about it comes from either the Section 51-2 or Third Phase of the Moon. They always seem to have like the greatest TR-3B footage. It's incredible, and we know we can tell it's not been photoshopped. I'm not trying to like really criticize these guys, but I mean it's just too. I have my doubts. We don't know the source of the email. Well, then I call shenanigans. Until somebody's really going to step forward and say, I took these pictures and put their reputation on the line for it. How do we know if it's going to be real?
Well, it's the same thing I was talking to you. Give me the original photo. Give me a copy of the original photo, and I will tell you within minutes if it's fake or not. Just start by throwing it in Photoshop. Are there still layers? Okay, well then there you go. But that's if it's a PSD or GIF or whatever format still has the layers, but even in a JPEG, you can do a easy forensic analysis of them and see if there's been manipulation on it, especially with the software that exists now.
Yeah. Well, lately I have not been able to find anything on the crypto front. So I got a cat, or a bird that talks like a cat.
So is that Attack of the Sock Puppet?
All right, here we go. Button echoes down here. So this is a replicat. A talking parrot masters a perfect meow and leaves 3 cats utterly baffled. I'm sorry, I love animals, and this one cracks me up.
I got you awesome.
Never has Sylvester the cat's famous suffering Sasquatch saying has been more appropriate. This is a moment a white parrot, fluent and feline, strolls up towards 3 Mogies, and dumbfounded they sit back and shell-shocked into silence. Parrots are expert mimickers and are well known for imitating human speech, but it's clearly not only language they can learn. So I thought this was pretty funny. This parrot nails it perfectly. Cats don't know what to think. Even hisses at them. She's totally just punking those cats.
I don't know. I'm still a big fan of the African gray that sings Drowning Pool. So.
I haven't seen that one. I'm gonna have to see that.
Oh yeah, you'll have to look that one up. There, everybody can look for it. It's an African gray parrot that sings "Let the Bodies Hit the Floor."
What? All right, I'm gonna have to find that. So many great things in the World Wide Web of weird out there. All right, this next one, I'm a big sci-fi fan, and one of my movies that I probably watched 1 billion times once I got it on VHS when I was a kid was Terminator 2. T-1000 shape-shifting metal becomes a reality. Engineers at RMIT, University of Melbourne, have announced a breakthrough in liquid metal technology. The T-1000 for Terminator 2 Judgment Day may now be one step closer to becoming reality thanks to the development of fluid-driven, self-propelled liquid metal, a breakthrough that could one day make it possible to create electronic devices that act more like living tissue than conventional solid-state components. In one experiment, the team managed to create a primitive machine by adding a single drop of liquid metal to some water and then adjusting the water's chemistry to make the metal change. Using this discovery, we were able to create moving objects, switches, and pumps that could operate autonomously, self-propelling liquid metal driven by the composition of the surrounding fluid, said project leader Professor Kourosh Kalinzinzar-Zadeh. Eventually, using the fundamentals of this discovery, it may be possible to build a 3D liquid metal humanoid on demand, like T-1000 Terminator. I think we're way far away from that. But I don't know. That was my favorite movie when I was a kid, was Terminator 2, and yeah, we could make liquid metal Terminators. I don't know if that's a good thing. We haven't even made the Terminator yet, but we're already jumping into making a liquid metal one? I don't know. I think they're pretty far away when all they're doing is little drop bits like that. But it's interesting. I love technology. My nickname in grade school was the Mad Scientist. All right, well, we got one more here coming up, and this is another one that Todd sent to me one late night. I love it when you send stuff, Todd. I really do.
Oh no.
This one I don't have this one's no video. I think Todd already knows what's coming. And like I said, this isn't a show for little ears tonight, and especially if these little ears like to play the game Pokemon. Russian woman believes she was raped by Pokemon. Yes, you're hearing that correct. Russian woman believes she was raped by Pokemon. Russian website Blocknot is reporting that a woman in Moscow claims she was raped by a Pokemon. Police were called to her apartment after she said she woke up and saw a large Pokemon on top of her. I'm just picturing that in my mind right now. The Pokemon disappeared when she got out of bed, she said, but when she checked her app, she could still see the creature in her room.
She's having delusions from playing too much Pokemon.
What is she? Did she? What I'm wondering is right. What I'm wondering is like, did she pick up the phone and like see it on top of her when she woke up, or did she really see it with her eyes?
I think she saw it with her eyes.
Okay. I don't know. These people are so. I don't know if they can tell the difference between the two. They play it so much.
That's what I mean.
Yeah. Police and her husband didn't believe her, according to the Daily Mail, and suggested she consult a psychiatrist. Yeah. She went to see a psychic instead, but the psychic was unable to assist her either. I'm sure the psychic was like, girl, I can't help you.
Not touching that.
She called. I'm picturing her calling like a Miss Chloe who did pass away the other week. That's I know it's probably a Russian psychic. A friend of the woman, Ivan Markov, came to her defense, telling the Daily Mail. She says there are too many Pokemon at her place, and even the dog can sense them. She says the dog barks whenever she plays Pokemon Go. Pokemon characters are digital, and as far as we know, don't exist in the real world. But not
Now,
everyone is convinced.
you want what's popping people's brains?
Mhm.
People are taking pictures saying that their animals are sensing them.
That's what I was getting to next.
Okay, and here's the next one that even goes into tonight's theory. Is it some sort of demonic entity guiding it?
I was going to get into that. Oh yeah, because I've seen so many posts about that. I've been seeing so many posts about that. Like it's a demonic conspiracy. They're little demons running around.
I think it's like when you just look at your screen too long, you know, when you're under the fluorescent lights, and then when you close your eyes and you have the weird dreams, like when you work in an office, probably like all the focusing on it, they're like seeing the world almost in like virtual what are they called?
It's augmented reality, but
I forgot.
Yeah, I'd say that I'd call it people need to start taking
What
their
did they make Joan Rivers into? What's that word?
Well, think about it.
Hologram.
Oh, a hologram. There you go. Yeah. Well, not everyone's convinced. Mashable reported that some people in Japan believe that their pets can sense Pokemon. Well, that's the pictures I've been seeing. Is all these pictures from Japan, like the cat looking at the fish. Of course, logic and science would disagree. Yeah, I've seen a lot of the posts, especially from the more religious sites, saying that it's a demonic conspiracy, that Pokemon are really the demons that we're letting into our lives, and maybe they're right. I don't know. It sounds like a really good novel or something, you know. I mean,
well, that's a deep rabbit hole you could jump down. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
they've said it was the Illuminati and everything else. I've been reading the articles and kind of rolling out of my chair laughing on a lot of them.
I know, you know I am. But my imagination goes wild with these kind of stories. Like, I'm totally, yeah, it could be true. It could really be a demonic conspiracy. You know, like, I'm thinking of, like, a great story for it, you know. But, all right, that's it for the World Wide Web of Weird. We don't have any more raping Pokemon stories. But I can't get the picture of this Pokemon sitting on top of, like, a Pikachu and doing it. I don't know. It's just...
Wouldn't that be a Pikachu?
Pikachu. All right, let's go ahead and get to our guest here. All right. Tonight, Debbie Viguie has been called the patron saint of the supernatural for good reason. She is a writer and speaker who trains people in real-life spiritual warfare against the demonic. If that weren't enough, she is the New York Times best-selling author of more than 4 dozen novels, most of them dark fantasies, mysteries, and supernatural thrillers, including the Wicked series, co-authored with Nancy Holder, the Witch Hunt trilogy, and the Robin Hood Demons Bane series, co-authored with James Tuck. When Debbie isn't battling the forces of darkness out in the real world, or penning tales of danger and intrigue set in her fictional world, she plays a recurring character on the STEM outreach audio drama Doctors Geeks Laboratory. Visit Debbie online at www.debbieviguie.com. That's DEBBIEVIGUIE.com. All right, let's go ahead and get to our guest after all this Pokemon craziness. How you doing tonight, Debbie?
I'm doing good.
I told you it's the World Wide Web Weird.
Yeah, I was a little tired, and then the Pokemon thing got me laughing, so I'm wide awake now.
See, everybody says my show is so late because it's like the only time I can do it, and that's why I always do the World Wide Web of Weird to wake people up. Like, what is he talking about?
Oh my gosh.
This was actually a very dull World Wide Web of Weird this night, but.
Well, I liked the parrot. That was hilarious.
Yes, I had to put that on there. I'm waiting for my wife to watch this episode. She watches. I've been finding out she has been sneaking peeks at my episode. She is definitely scared of birds.
No, that'll be interesting.
So the bird that meows at her is gonna freak her out.
Sounds like a prank waiting to happen.
So Debbie, I read your bio, but I always like my guests to tell us in their own words a little bit about themselves.
Okay, I am a New York Times bestselling author. I've been professionally published. I've been a professional author since 2002, and very happy about that. I do love writing mysteries, thrillers, sci-fi now. With my husband, I'm writing some sci-fi.
Oh, I love sci-fi.
Yeah, it's action-adventure sci-fi. Archaeologist set in the 30s, Tex Ravencroft and his adventures. But I do a lot of different things. I also am very famous for the Psalm 23 mysteries, which has my really scary rabid fans. The ones that have read the whole series 58 times so far.
I love series novels. I love series novels. I always wanted to be able to write one. I can't. So much props to you for even writing one series novels, let alone like 4 or more.
Anyone can. I'm a firm believer in that. You know, you just have to want it enough and practice enough. You know, that's the thing with writing. But yeah, and on top of that, I've also written a nonfiction book about spiritual warfare called Battlefield Victory. And I've been involved with spiritual warfare since I was a very young child. And been really trying to get my word out there and help people a lot the last couple of years.
So we're going to talk a lot tonight, of course. This is a paranormal show. I love talking about science fiction. I could get into that and talk all night. But we're going to talk, but we're doing definitely, whenever I put a show up that has anything with the word demon in it, I seem to always get a lot of people saying, yeah, I'm going to that. People are interested. It's true, and I'm just as guilty of it. People are interested in the dark side of the paranormal, and that's what it is. It is the darkest. We talk about spirits and stuff, and it's a little bit spooky. But when you talk about demonic and the dark forces, it's what scares me. It's not much scares me in the paranormal. I'm more scared of people, but the demonic, I'll admit, it scares me, and we were talking before the show as a paranormal group. If I really feel like I run into something that's demonic, I'm reaching out for help from somebody else to help the person. I'll do what I can to help, but I know it's over my head because it's serious and it can really hurt people badly. And I've had my own dark experience I've talked about on the show with it. So I take it very seriously. I make fun and I joke and I have fun on this show, but this is a topic I take very seriously because I've witnessed it and I've felt it myself. I know it's something real and I know it can really hurt people. So how did this start for you? How did you get involved in fighting the forces of darkness in a way?
I'm a superhero. What can I say?
Yeah, you are. If you're going to do this, you got to be.
It actually started when I was about 4, and I was getting up early morning Saturday cartoons one day, and I was up before my parents, and I went into the library to grab a picture book to look at while I was watching cartoons. And as I was in our home library checking, grabbing a book, a voice called my name. And it was very distinctive, and it was out loud, and it scared the crap out of me, and I ran to the family room as fast as I could and stayed there until my mom got up. And I told her what happened, and she tried for the life of her to come up with every possible explanation that it could be, except that. And
right.
what it was is that really taught me that you can't talk to people about this kind of stuff. So I didn't talk to anybody about the things that started happening to me at that point until I was in high school. And in high school, of all things, my mom came to me one day and said, I've had this really unpleasant experience, and I think you might understand what happened to me and can help. And I'm like,
wow,
how things have changed,
Yeah,
and
have turned.
Yeah, they have. What was actually very cool for me was about 2 years ago. She and I never talked about that incident when I was 4 again, not ever in my entire life. But about 2 years ago, we were talking about something else, and I said, you remember that day when I was 4 and I got up early? She said, and the demon talked to you and I didn't want to admit it? And I'm like, yes! And I'm like, so you knew? And she said, I knew exactly what had happened, but I had never had an experience. I didn't know anyone who'd had an experience, and I had no idea how to help you. All I knew is I didn't want you to be afraid. So I'm like, good to know that you knew, but I wish you would talk to me about that,
But as a parent, I understand that. Like, as soon as you were telling me your mom was trying to talk you out of it being anything paranormal, I know, being a paranormal investigator, I would do that with my own kids. You don't want them to be scared,
Yeah. What I tell people is if your kid says there's a monster under the bed or in the closet, I mean, kids have wild imaginations. Mm-hmm. That 99% of the time it's their wild imagination. But go and check and teach them what to do to protect themselves and make themselves feel better, and keep it just kind of lighthearted and calm. But if you don't go and check, you might regret it.
True.
So.
Yeah. Should check under the bed to make sure there isn't really a monster there.
Yeah,
That's how it always ends up bad.
I've had things grab me from under the bed until I stopped being afraid of that. So I'm like, I've had to think that's happened to other people I know too. So I always say is try not to let your kids don't feed the fear frenzy, but be very calm, very authoritative. Say we're gonna go check it out together. And that way you've done what you could just in case.
Now, see, I just made the post on Facebook last week that I'm the guy dangling his leg off the bed trying to bait him in.
You would be. You would be. One day someone's going to grab that leg, buddy.
Yeah. Come visit my house for the weekend, man. No, don't. You really don't want to.
Yeah, if I do that, I will have something to grab it. It's a Siamese cat that does it to me every time, and I still jump every time.
That's awesome.
So, you had these experiences started when you were a little kid.
Yeah.
Having the voice. Do you feel like this was a calling to you then? This work,
I
that you.
definitely feel it was a calling. I kind of laughed, a couple of years ago when I got older, and I'm like, demons tried very, very hard to keep me afraid for most of my life, and they worked very hard to keep me from becoming a demonologist and helping other people, and all they did was make me more determined. So, that's on the side of Satan always loses even when he's trying his hardest, you know.
Right. So
But
on a religious side of it too, what were you raised in a certain religion at that time, or did you discover a religion because of all this?
I'm Protestant, non-denominational, and I've been very religious since I was very, very little. Um, and I was raised that way. I had like one of the best, most idyllic childhoods in most ways because my parents were very loving and very caring, and I had like very few rules growing up, and the ones I had made absolute sense. So that my house was the cool house for people to hang out at.
Awesome.
But yeah, so they were the best, most fun parents, and yet every time they would go to bed and it would get dark in the house, 9 times out of 5, 6 nights a week, I'd get tormented. So it was this weird juxtaposition of a very happy childhood as long as there were people around, and then this terrifying nightmare when I was alone. So it was interesting.
I've had a lot of when you talk about this stuff. I'm one of those hosts. I always personally relate my experiences. Sorry, I'm just that.
Well,
I'm not
that
a great
makes you a
host.
good host.
Oh, I don't know. Somebody told me that once, like, you talk too much. And I do. But I had a lot of experiences as a child with spirits and seeing stuff. I didn't become a demonologist, but I definitely went down the road of being completely interested and obsessed with the paranormal and trying to learn what is it. I grew up in a household that was not religious. That is basically you discover what you believe. My mom's a Buddhist, my dad's an agnostic. But I'm definitely somebody who could never be an atheist. I've seen too much. I've seen too much to know that there's another reality, and I'm definitely not one of those people that's like, oh, everything's positive and the spirits love us. No, I've seen the dark side. I've seen that there are negative things out there that can harm you. So this is why I like to do these kind of shows, because we're going to get into this tonight about the dangers out there of this. Now, I always tell people too, and I don't know if you agree with this. In my opinion, it's rare. It's not something like your house is haunted. It's a demon. That's my opinion. Now, I know I have friends that opinions have differed than mine on that. What is your opinion? If somebody has, we're not talking about, like crazy paranormal stuff. They see a spirit walk by in their house. Some people are like, well, they're all demons. Is that your opinion, or is there separations? And you can have a ghost. It's not a demon.
There's separations. But I will say that I have seen thousands and thousands of demons, and I have seen 3 ghosts. And
that's
the
a
ghosts,
scary thought.
Yeah, the ghosts actually scare the crap out of me because I don't know what to do about them. Just to stand there and go, actually more like and screaming like I'm 8 with pigtails. Those are the ones where I'm like out of my mind and I'm out of there because I don't want to deal with it. But yeah, there are ghosts. I believe there are ghosts, and the ghosts I've encountered, it's a lot more like recordings. I like to say it's not live, it's Memorex. It's kind of like
A residual
impression of something that happened at that place. And I believe that living people can leave ghosts as well if they have experiences that are traumatic enough. They can somebody who's still alive can haunt a place that they have been. I believe that too, because heaven knows I've left my share of those behind for unsuspecting people. Apologies to anyone who's rented after me ever anywhere.
If somebody ever moves into this house after I pass on or whatever, and if I leave like a residual, they're going to be good luck, because my wife says if I ever haunt a place, people are going to be rich because I leave change everywhere. I always have change in my pockets, and I'm always dumping it everywhere. So your ghost is going to need change. So move it in after I die.
You'll get money. Have some more.
It'll be only pennies and nickels, but save it up.
So yeah, I mean, I believe there are ghosts. Like I said, I believe that they're not self-aware really. So I know there are different type and things, and I know there are different types of demons. and certainly demons that operate on different frequencies, some that interact with people only of specific religions. So I mean, I saw a Buddhist demon once, and that was one of the worst fights of my entire life.
Oh yeah, that's a good point when you bring that up too. Because like my mom, like I said, my mom's a Buddhist. Now there's different sects of Buddhism. There's sects of Buddhism that don't believe in demons, and there's like the Tibetan definitely believe in demons. Like there's different parts of that religion. There's definitely, that's the thing. Demons are one of those things that are worldwide.
Yes, it's pretty universal.
It's universal. So that should be your first clue. There's something to it.
Now, can I weigh in with a question for you on the ghost demon slash? We've had plenty of experiences with direct responses, EVPs, knocking, whatever, when you ask for it. If you think a ghost is only a residual impression, then when you get a direct intelligent response, would you think that's a demon?
In my experiences, it would be. I am not ruling out that there's a possibility of something else, but the things that I've encountered that will actually respond have all been demonic.
And that's what I was, so thank you, Todd. That is actually the perfect question to get to that I should have got to. Because that's where I've differed with some of my friends. There's people that I know that they believe like I do, that they're most of the time not a demon that's responding, it's a spirit, but I have friends that are religious and they believe no, it is something demonic. And for me, I'm a Gnostic, so in my opinion, they could be right. I'm not willing to say they're wrong at all on that. I could be wrong. I don't know if I'm right. I'm always questioning everything. They could be right. That's always in the back of my mind. You don't know what you're communicating with, so it could be demonic. It could be something you don't know if that is a human spirit. And everything I read and know that demons, their main goal is to trick you.
It is, and I've actually seen a lot of demons who impersonated spirits.
Right.
Now, I do believe that. I do believe that there are times when I have known enough people who've had the experience of actually communicating with a loved one after they've passed on, but that always seems to be a one-time thing, kind of like a reassurance. And I always think that's a God moment, where God's letting the communication happen just to calm down the person that's remained behind.
I've experienced that, so
yeah.
I know exactly what you mean.
And I know that when my grandmother, who was terrified to die, was close to death, I could actually feel my grandfather in the room, and he'd been gone for like 15 years, and I'm like, I think, I'm like, he's kind of there waiting to take her with him, was really the impression I had. So I think that people can interact, but if it's an ongoing interaction, I've seen demons impersonate that to try to manipulate people. So I always say, if you have a wonderful, lovely, one-time experience closure, that's beautiful, that's a gift, take it and move on. If something keeps coming to you and eventually wants something from you, that's a bad thing, and get help.
Yeah.
How can you distinguish?
Well, I think that's a good point. Sorry. Go ahead, Judy.
How can you distinguish, like, what can give you an idea that it may not be a spirit but maybe a demon?
Like I said, if it wants something from you, usually that's more demonic, because it's trying to manipulate you into doing something, oftentimes giving it more access. If it's just kind of there if it's there as a one-time experience to comfort or to say kind of some parting thoughts or whatever, I could say I think that is a gift, and that is a spirit that has come to you. I've known too many people who've had those experiences, to doubt that. I think one of the things that people learn when they deal with these things a lot is you have to start learning how to listen to your body, because your body will react very strongly to demonic presence, and the more you learn to pay attention, the more obvious it becomes. It's usually this very intense sensation that something unnatural is happening, whereas the others, like the ghosts I have seen, have scared the devil out of me to the point where I was screaming my head off, but I didn't feel like my stomach was twisting, or I didn't feel chills, or like I wanted to vomit, or just that something was just deathly wrong. It was just, it was just frightening and startling at that point. Yeah.
What you described there for what you feel, I've rarely encountered that. I have had a major encounter with an entity like that, where I had that feeling. But I've had that feeling many a times around certain people.
Of course, because there there are
It's a
people who
warning
are,
signal. I know it is.
yeah, there are people you don't want to mess with. And I mean, my friends who are close to me have learned that if we're in places like crowded places, or we're at amusement venues, or whatever else, conventions, and all of a sudden I grab them and pull them in the other direction and I say don't, they know that there's something seriously wrong that's coming and they don't want to be any part of it. Because I go and, I mean, I've been to conventions where I've been walking around the dealer's room and all of a sudden, somebody brushed by me and I'm like, oh, bad news, and we're all out of here because nobody needs to see a smackdown in the middle of a dealer's room at a sci-fi convention.
Oh yeah. We're gonna see Captain Kirk and Luke Skywalker fighting each other.
It might be the best, cosplay ever, but
I'm sorry, I'm gonna stick around for that show.
People are like applauding, and I'm like, no, I'm not pretending to be Constantine. Get out.
Well, but what I feel from these experiences, and what I'm interested in asking you on this, is that I've run into people who have gotten that. It's just an unnatural feeling from a person. And I've talked about this on the show before, where I even had an ex-neighbor, who ran into him, and it was totally different than when I saw him before. And I got that feeling, and I was in a parking lot. I got away from him and his girlfriend he had with him as fast as I could. I'm like, all right, nice, good to see you, bye. Car door, gone, And like an hour later, they're at my door, and like, hi, we thought we'd stop by.
Oh, that's crazy.
Are like, and I got that feeling. It's the same feeling I got from the demonic presence. If it was demonic, I hate to call it demonic. Just forgive me. I'm agnostic. I question everything. What it is, if it is, everything. I question everything. I'm just a jerk like that. But I got that feeling. You deal with the demonic entities, and we'll get into this more tonight. But one of my questions is: are there demonic possessions of people who are walking around
all the time
right now?
All the time. And what freaks people out is there can be very temporary possessions that literally last like half an hour, where the person won't really realize what happened to them in the interim, but the demons use them to go do something. I mean, I've seen that happen before too, and that's frightening because it's not what you expect. It's not the head swiveling around and vomiting pea soup kind of possession. It's a full possession, but it's over quickly and was for an intended purpose. So, I mean, I've seen that before. I've seen people who are completely full-on possessed. I've seen people whose personal or family demons have gotten so out of control that they are calling the shots and not the person anymore.
One of the things I feel like I don't want to skip over before I get deeper into this tonight, too, is where did you get the training to learn to become a demonologist? Where did you learn all this? Because, yeah, you had your experiences, but you had to learn and study how to do this. I have a friend that's in the chat room right now that I know she spent a lot of time learning to become a demonologist before she would even say the word demonologist. She wasn't even comfortable saying that until she spent a lot of time studying. So for you, how did you learn?
A lot of on-the-job training. I had to learn as a kid what worked and what didn't, and then I studied what worked and what didn't, and then I connected with other people who had similar experiences and kept working through, the similarities and the differences and what it all meant. And I've had a lot of help from God, basically. I mean, like I say, I'm very religious, and He's definitely done a lot of pushing, prodding, a lot of pushing and prodding. Because I mean, this is something. I know I was called to do this many, many years ago, and I said yeah, and ignored it for as long as I possibly could until He basically slapped me upside the head and said, "Now, idiot." So, because at that point, it was like one of those things where I wouldn't talk about it to people. Like, there's a handful of people who knew because they'd been there for something that happened, or they'd finally broken down and told me about something that happened to them, and I helped them. And suddenly, I'd be getting calls at 2 a.m. from people I didn't know, who had been referred from somebody who knew somebody who knew somebody, and they desperately needed help because they were huddled in the corner in their room, and there were things moving around the room and shadows, and they didn't know what to do to help themselves. And I'm like, all right, clearly, if I don't come forward, then this is just going to keep happening and getting worse, and there's going to be a lot of people who need the information who aren't going to get it.
I have a question for the question from the chat room I want to ask. I usually try to wait to. I don't want to forget this question. I think it's a really good question.
Oh.
Usually I would wait and ask it later when we get into that kind of topic. But it's something that interests me. Is this comes from Hex? It's a great name for this topic. Can demonic spirits make you sick with a rare illness that doctors cannot treat?
Yes.
That's why I thought it was a really good question. And I know there's a lot of people that might be affected that way and not know that this could be a cause.
The easiest, there's a couple layers to this. Demons take the path of least resistance. Whatever they can do to screw up your life or whatever it is you're supposed to be doing that they don't want you to do, whatever they can do to derail you, that is the simplest, that requires the least amount of energy or input on their part, they will do. And one of the simplest things they can do is aggravate existing medical conditions. So, for example, my mom has been subject to migraines her entire life. And she mostly got to the point where she was past them, but she'd have one every month or two, you know. And then she became like the director of a healing ministry at her church, totally by accident. She hadn't even intended. She wanted to be a part of it, and then she got stuck leading it. It was like if she didn't lead it, it was going to die. And suddenly she had migraines every single day. And for months in a row, and just for months, she had a migraine constantly. And I finally said, have you just checked to make sure you're not being harassed demonically? And she did her mantra, and it was gone. And I'm like, okay, so the bottom line is next time you have a migraine, it could be just your normal migraines, and it might not be. So it's always best to err on the side of trying to cast out a demon. And I say that to everybody because they will pile on. So whatever, you know, if you have allergies, if you have, you know, asthma, if you have bad knees or whatever, those are all normal, natural problems of being a person. However, if they seem aggravated or they're keeping you from doing something with your life that's different, just cast out any demons that might be present because it hurts you not at all to try, and if there is something screwing with you, then you take care of the problem.
Debbie?
Yes.
One, we've got somebody in the chat room that was describing things that had a very demonic bent to them last week, so I wanted to let Dave that's out there know when the Skype lines open, probably would be good for you to call in.
Yes, definitely.
And you mentioned the shadows. Would that be linked with the shadow people that we've talked about on the show multiple times?
Because of my personal experience.
Yeah. I have actually never seen a shadow person. They always sound very creepy to me, so I cannot tell you if it is. It sounds demonic on the face of it to me, but having not had the experience, I'm uncomfortable making an absolute ruling on that.
Well, that's great. You know, I think that gives, to me, I like that you haven't had the experience, so you're not going to say, oh, no, they're just demons, because I've had people react to me of that. The reason this comes up on the show a lot, besides the fact that it's a very popular topic, is I've talked about my personal experience with a shadow person that went on for about 4 months. People have heard the story, so I'm not going to get detailed. But it all ended for me with being levitated up on my bed 3 times. I was basically picked up and thrown down, and I think the spirit of my great-grandfather came into the room. I saw him and flash a white light, and I never was bothered by it again. It bothered 2 other people at the same time going on. So but at the time, all my research and the times that I felt like I was near something that might have been demonic or was going on, it's dark like that, but it was something different. Like it's almost alien-like is what I always want to feel like it was. You know, so I do think there's some difference, but they're both not good.
It could also be, I mean, it could be something from a parallel dimension that's you know, just punching through, you know, and when I don't have direct experience, you know, I'm like, it could be one of, you know, half a dozen things or, you know, 3 things I don't even know exist. But like I say, I haven't seen one. I mean, that kind of activity would certainly make me suspicious. And that is awesome.
Negative. It was negative.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no ifs, ands, and buts. It was messing with my mind. My 2 friends that were having this going on, it was definitely negative. It definitely fell in the realms of demonic. You
were being attacked regardless of what it was.
Right.
And that's awesome that your grandfather was allowed to come to the rescue, by the way. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I feel very grateful. And I'm still agnostic. You know, it's not that I don't believe in God. I'm just not going to choose a religion or a certain idea or book to tell me what it is. That's just
don't want to pick a team. That's fine.
No.
don't want to
Yeah.
pick a team.
Yeah.
I have a
The
couple
only
more-
team I pick is the Cubs, but
I have a couple more questions for Debbie.
yeah, go for it.
Debbie, remember the person we were talking to before the show, a friend of mine?
Yeah.
Well, she's talking to me back and forth here. She's watching the show, and she had a couple questions because,
Sure.
like I said, things are getting really bad for her.
Yeah, please ask.
You were talking about the family demons. If you could
Mhm.
address
Yeah.
that, and also she wanted to know what can she do to protect the babies, because they're the ones who are really getting the brunt of this, and she wanted to ask specifically about the infant who's sick, and they keep taking the baby to the hospital, and they do all the tests, and they can't find out what's wrong with them. But this baby is, I don't know how old he is, 4 months old or whatever, only weighs 8 pounds. I mean, he keeps losing weight.
Yeah.
And and all this stuff is going on at the same time, and this is the same baby that was lifted.
Right.
But and she wanted to know what they can do, and also she wanted to know, when you say mantra, what mantra are you talking about?
Okay. For people who are Christian, and that can be any Christian, Protestant, Catholic, it doesn't matter. Denomination doesn't matter. You need to say, in the name of Jesus Christ, whose blood was shed on the cross for the forgiveness of my sins, I command you to leave. There is a twofold thing here. You have to invoke the blood of Christ, because that is what gave us power over the demonic in the first place. And you have to say, I command you to leave. Most people fall down here. Most people just pray about it. They just pray that God will make it go away. In the New Testament, Jesus actually gave his disciples, and by extension those who have come after, power and authority over the demonic. And if we don't exercise our own power and authority over the demonic, they don't have to go. So it's very important that she says, I command you, and takes the responsibility and the ownership of the power that she has. But the blood of Christ is what gives it to her, and that's what defeats evil ultimately. So those two things in conjunction are what Christians have to say. They have to say it.
Her daughters, would they have to do that to their own homes, like her to her home,
Yes.
there to their homes?
Yes, and they have to say this anytime they feel like they're being harassed. Some days that will be 100 times a day. Sometimes you can go a year and never have to say that. And you have to do that for yourself. You can do it around other people. It's easier if you can get people to do it for themselves than if you have to constantly do it for them, because then you have to wait for them to tell you there's a problem, and that gets difficult. But what she also needs to do is bless every room in her home, and have her daughters do the same, since they're also getting harassed in their homes. For a Christian, you lay your hand on a wall in the room, and if you can get friends to help you do this, so you can get all 4 rooms or all 4 walls at once, that's great, but it is not even necessary. You lay your hand on a wall in the room, you pray, you say, I bless this room, I dedicate it to God, I ask that he send angels to protect me, and then you say, I bind and rebuke and cast out any demons who are here in the name of Jesus Christ, whose blood was shed on the cross, and I command you to go. You do it for every room in your house. You do it for your garage, your basement, your attic. You do it for all of your cars, because you need to do that. And that, when things are intense, you might have to do it every day. If they're not intense, you can do it every week, every month, every year. But it's nice to at least do it every year, just in case, as kind of like a spiritual checkup, like spiritual spring cleaning is what I like to call it. And it's just a way of being purposeful about the places that you're living. You can also do this in the place that you work if you're getting harassed at work and dragging stuff back and forth with you from there too. You can also bless all the people and lay your hands on them. And also for the infants, she should say, any demons who are harassing this child, I bind you, I rebuke you, I cast you out in the name of Jesus Christ, whose blood was shed on the cross for the forgiveness of our sins, and you must get away right now. And she has to say it out loud at first, because most people do not have the strength of conviction to do it quietly, because when you do it quietly in your head, part of you doesn't believe it. When you have to say it out loud, embarrassing as that can be, you're owning it and you're believing it. I mean, some people have to shout it. Some people can whisper. I've had to do it in the middle of a grocery store where I'm sitting there doing it as quietly as I can so that I do not make a spectacle of myself. But I've also learned at this point to do it in my mind, but you have to literally be screaming inside your own head to put the kind of force that a physical whisper even gives you.
Now, would the parents of the babies have to do it, or can it be her?
No,
Or does it have to
anyone
be
can do
her?
it. You can do it. You can walk over there and do it. You know, anyone can do it. It does not have to be a relative, but they're going to need to be doing it consistently, especially until things calm down.
You know, one of the things too about this that is really interesting to me, because I've had people tell me about. I had a friend in high school who felt like every woman in the family always saw the same spirit in that, and they thought it was demonic. So we're talking about family, a generational demonic
Right.
influence. What is that? What's going on there? What's the, what are the dynamics of that happening?
There's a couple different possibilities. One is what I call a family demon. It's literally, think of personal and family demons as, people use the phrase, personal demon, euphemistically, usually to discuss problems like drinking or different things that they feel driven to do that are destructive. That actually is not so much a metaphor as people think. The bad habits and the bad feelings that we collect over our lifetimes kind of build up and take on a bit of a life of their own. So it reaches the point where they're controlling those bad habits, and negative beliefs are controlling our actions more than we are. If it reaches a certain kind of critical mass, it literally creates a demon who is self-aware.
That's so
that. Yeah, and I've actually helped people get rid of those too, because everybody can, and it's amazing how life-changing it is if you do. But those can actually, strong ones can actually start breaking off as family demons and planting in members of the family. This is why you'll see things like alcoholism run through almost an entire family sometimes.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And they talk about, they talk about in the Bible about the sins of the father, being visited on the sons to the 7th generation. That's what a family demon is. There is also a possibility, if they're seeing if they're seeing something as opposed to just all sharing the same bad behaviors, it's possible that they're being tormented by a created demon that was created by one of their relatives. Because if a person dies with a personal demon that is incredibly strong, it can actually survive that person's death, but it goes on to torment usually family members or people who have the same proclivities as far as negative behaviors.
I do have somebody. Not everybody has Skype, and I got a lot of people that want to talk to you.
Okay.
I have somebody in the chat room, Hex, and you're there. If you can get to your messenger here, I'm going to try to call you on that. If you can use your Facebook Messenger, it sounded like she could, so I'm going to see if that works. Trying it now. She might not be able to pick it up just yet. I don't know if she's got it or not, because not everybody has Skype, and I'm trying to find new ways to be able to talk. She might not got it. Or Bonnie, if you get back to me, you can try calling me on this. I'll leave it open for you for a minute or two to see if you can call back on it. No. Not getting her. Okay, Bonnie, try calling me. I'll leave my Facebook open for you for a minute.
Sounds like a tribble. I'm sorry.
That's the Facebook.
The Facebook Messenger phone line works pretty well.
Yeah. So I only can use it for people I'm friends with on Facebook. But she has some specific questions I think she wanted me to talk about. So you can try calling me back again here in a second, Bonnie, if you got it. But the one thing. What about somebody like me? If I'm going through something like this, I'm not Christian. I've never been baptized. Am I screwed? Am I just literally screwed?
You're not screwed. You're most like people. Right, different demons operate on different frequencies. Okay, so created demons, a Christian created demon will only really go after people who are Christians or have that kind of worldview. Like I said, I've encountered a Buddhist one, and that was one of the hardest fights in my life because it was so opposite of what I always do. But as far as personal and family demons, it doesn't matter what religion you are. Those you can get rid of through whatever your own belief system is. It's 90% of it is the same kind of thing. It's about finding and detecting what I call the lie that you've been telling yourself probably since you were 2 or 3, when something happened to you that in the eyes of an adult would be usually very small and ridiculous, but in the eyes of a child was important.
Right.
And you have to identify what that lie was that you've been feeding yourself this entire time for all these years, and which all of your negative behaviors, all your negative habits, all the things you don't like about yourself spring from. And once you kind of boil it all down to the one thing, you can actually find your truth, which is going to be the opposite of it. And every time you try to, the pull is to act on the lie, you have to force yourself to act on the truth. A lot of people, a common lie is, I'm worthless. And so people are constantly making decisions based on this inner belief that they are worthless because some point when they were small, something happened and they were made to feel that way. And so they have to sit there and say, I am valuable, and force themselves to reevaluate every decision they make for a couple of weeks or a couple of months to make sure that they're acting on the good information and not the bad information. And that's how you shrink and eventually get rid of a personal demon. You can do that for a family demon as well, but it only goes out of every member. You have to do one member at a time, and everybody has to want to participate at that point. One person can free themselves, but not their entire family without their help.
What about a possession that is so severe that it needs an exorcism, or the person or maybe the home needs an exorcism? What's the difference? Is it a different kind of demon, a stronger demon in that case?
Generally, almost always, but not always. We're talking about a created demon at that point, which is the personal demon is someone who died, or a demon created by fallen angels or something like that. Usually that's what you think of when you think of a traditional possession, where people are speaking in different voices, or speaking in languages they don't know, or their eyes are totally glowing, or they're capable of things they shouldn't be capable of. That's usually what you're talking about, and that's a fight. That's a fight that requires help from somebody else who can sit there and try to battle the thing out and hopefully reach the individual who's possessed and get their help in doing it. There's different rituals for doing that depending on what religious belief the individual is from. The Catholic one is particularly harrowing because it's pretty dangerous for all involved, including the priests. But I am happy to say that 10 years ago there was only 5 priests in the country who could do exorcisms, and now there's 50. So they're going in the right direction that way. And as far as a house, it's very similar to the blessing process I was describing earlier, the exorcism of a house. It's a little. You also, on top of that, though, are going to start looking for items in the house that might be specifically cursed or have something negative attached to them. I had to do an exorcism of a friend's mother's house, and we actually took 4 items out of the house that she had gotten over the course of the previous year from different people. 2 of them were crucifixes were rosaries that had actually been demonically cursed. One of them turned out had been used in some sort of voodoo ritual before her friend gave it to her. You're like, oh, nice friend, right. Yeah, and you're like, it's just, so when you're doing a full exorcism on a house, it's the blessing process, it's the driving out process, and then it's the hunt and find whatever might be, really attracting things. Also.
I got a question in chat room from Spirit Discovery. Let me make sure I just go back up to the question. I get it right. She asks about spells and hexes that people that attack others. Is that, I think what he means is that demonic, or what's the fix to that? Maybe
That is demonic, and that's, you can still use whatever belief system you come from, whatever you would do for something that wasn't necessarily a spell or hex someone else placed on you, do that. Also, that is a good time to get some help, too. If you know somebody, people that are casting spells and hexes like that they're not practicing a recognized religion. Wicca, like for example, is a religion of peace, and they're not going to do crap like that because they know it comes back on them. Yes. So it's like, it's not Wicca, it's not necessarily shamanism, it's not, but you might want to get help from somebody who understands the earth religions, just to see if there's something that they can do extra to give you I've had a ton of Wiccans like give me protective medicine pouches just in case, you know, and I'm always like, well, thank you, you know, and I have it, but even though that's not part of my belief structure, I have been attacked by a demon that was sent by a curse, and ironically, the person was just a moron. They thought they were being helpful. It was a neighbor who had noticed that I had been going through a very stressful period and was experimenting with all this great stuff, and tried conjuring something to take away my stress. And did it attack me in spades? And I was out of my mind for 3 hours before I finally figured out what was happening. And I'm like, I don't even know what. And then I'm like, oh, heaven, what did she do? Yeah, like, what did she do? And let's have a talk to her about not ever doing that again and not playing with things you don't understand.
So she was trying to help you, but
Yes.
it backfired.
It backfired.
Badly.
Yeah, if you're conjuring an entity to do something, the hubris is to think you control that entity.
That's what I've always thought about it. There's a video we showed once on the World Wide Web of Weird. Actually, I think it was on my show. My first show I did was like episode 5 or 6. It was about demonic. You know, it was my very beginnings of the show. And there's this guy who basically I should have that video ready to play again tonight. Who's like, you can invite demons in.
Oh, I remember
that one. Remember that one? Like a guy who was really creepy, and he was dead serious that you can master the demonic world and control their forces, and that is a form of magic. I mean, that is people who believe in that. So
well, where's Jason? Wasn't he trying to like sell classes or something?
Oh,
yeah.
For just $29.95, you can learn how to master the demonic, and well, he was selling it that you can let the demons indwell with you. You know, like he was like selling you on possession. Yeah.
Like, what the heck?
Yeah.
No, thank you.
That's what I thought.
That things like that. When people start doing stuff like that, you're like, really? What kind of damage do you have to think that that's an okay thing?
Well, he seemed to think it was working for him. He made a great YouTube video about it. I'll have to play it. I don't. It's way down on the list of my World Wide Web Weird so long ago. I don't think I could find it tonight. But people have watched the show. It's my demonic episode. It'll be on like you'll find it on there. I'm pretty sure it's on one of those episodes. I'll have people searching, trying to find it. I'll later on post what episode it was. I'll figure out what it was. But yeah, I couldn't believe this guy was talking that. So doing this work, what are some of the what gets me, the scariest movie to me? I've watched a lot of horror movies and stuff, but most of them don't scare me. Nothing gets me. But of course, the one movie that still scares me this day, even though there's parts of it I laugh, especially your mother cooks socks and hell. That's my changing the wording of it, but is The Exorcist. There's parts of it I laugh at because I've seen it so many times, but it scares the crap out of me still. The idea of it and everything. Are there cases like that are that gruesome? That somebody that, especially with a child too, because that's what really gets me about it, is being a father now too. It makes it more scary.
Yeah. It happens. It happens a lot more in other countries that are less industrialized, that there's still a stronger belief in the supernatural. But it certainly does happen, and it can be pretty nasty. And I have participated on an exorcism like that with an adult. Fortunately, if it was a kid, it would have freaked me out. But
that's what I'm saying.
And it was awful. I mean, it was.
So what were some of the things that happen in that situation? Can you talk about?
Lots and lots of vomiting. Lots of vomiting.
Is it pea soup?
No, but my gosh.
Jackass.
Yeah, that's okay. But
now there's. So there's two that I want to see if you want to go down the rabbit hole on eventually, Debbie. Is the Demon House in Gary, Indiana. Bits of that, which I more think that was a lot of hype to sell a documentary or movie. And then the next one would be the CERN tunnel, or
Oh,
train
what do
tunnel,
they
they opened
tell?
up with a really creepy, almost satanic or demonic ceremony.
Oh yeah. That's right. I forgot about that. Have you seen? I know what he's talking about. Have you seen that? Where they had the whole really pagan, demonic-like ceremony for that tunnel in
I
Switzerland,
missed
right?
that, thankfully.
Oh, it's one you need to find. It's a
Yeah.
good hour-long freak
Gosh.
show of a ceremony that, yeah.
The goat man is the center of the of tension in this one. Let's just put it that way to give you an idea. There's
Nice.
people falling. The workers who died on this project, they have like a whole like the scene where like these people are like falling in front of this big screen, like they're like working, and they fall.
Oh,
And
the
then
ones in the tunnel were worse. Than the
Oh,
amount
yeah.
of effigies of straw
yeah.
men and Baphomet were just nonstop.
And this was a ceremony where a bunch of bigwigs in world governments went to. So I don't know how that makes you feel, but it makes me not feel so good about things in the world.
No, that wouldn't. No, that's not happy making.
So
That's creepy.
It's a couple of rabbit holes if you wanted to dive down those two different subjects.
Not at this moment in time. I am very curious to do a little
You
more
gotta see the
research,
video
though.
on it.
Yeah, because that is freaky.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, in general, as far as places that are supposed to be demonic and things like that. I mean, I have a curiosity. I've only been to one or two that were, and that was not intentional.
Well, the Gary, Indiana one's close to our heart because we're 20 miles from there, 20-minute drive from what is Zach Baggins from Ghost Adventures was involved in that one.
And he supposedly not supposedly, he bulldozed it over supposedly because it was so bad, it was so demonic, it freaked him out. The documentary still hasn't come out, am I right? There's
I don't think it has, no.
Wow.
But I agree with Todd. It could be a lot of talk and publicity, more than reality.
It'd be. See, I'm really divided on things like that. It's very funny. There are some things that I watch or read about because I kind of feel like I should, because I should be responsible to at least understand what's happening there. Things like The Exorcist. It took me 3 tries to sit all the way through that film. But most of the time, I really try to avoid seeking out that kind of stuff because I'm already surrounded by so much of it that it's like it's not. It makes me feel ickier to just keep piling it on.
Yeah,
so
it's not something I want to watch like on a marathon. Let's have an Exorcist marathon night. Watch
I
Exorcist
know.
1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, or whatever, how many there are. No, I don't really want to sit down and watch them. I've watched them a few times. One, because my wife had never seen it at one point. I'm like, all right, we'll sit and watch it.
Well, see, my whole problem with the concept of the house is, they bulldozed a site that had paranormal activity. Mm-hmm. Knocking down a structure is not going to cleanse that land.
Yeah.
In some cases, when they talk about entities being tied to a structure, bulldozing it, now you're going to free it.
It could very well be, and certainly it would depend on what was actually the problem. If there was something in the land that was the problem, I mean, obviously that wouldn't fix it. If there was something that was in the house that has now been moved to a refuse heap, I mean, heaven help the garbage workers, but it does make it interesting because you're right. I mean, just flattening something doesn't necessarily fix any kind of problems.
One of the things I want to ask, and if you don't want to touch this one, I completely understand, because this is something I feel uncomfortable bringing up, but it's something I feel strongly about, that there's something to this.
Okay.
When you talk about, you mentioned earlier that when these demonic taking over somebody just for an instant to do something. Okay, I believe that can happen. I think I've witnessed that happen. They don't have what are the symptoms of that are right would be that they don't even remember what they did, right, when this demonic thing happened. Well, for the active shooter instances, some of the ones who have not killed themselves a lot of times have claimed lack of memory or lack of knowledge of what they've done. Now, there's definitely psychological reasons for that explanation, but there's a lot of things that make you just feel, is it possible, and I understand you don't really want to talk about it because this is very politically loaded for people, but is it possible that demonic could possess somebody and do something as horrific as an active shooting like that and kill a bunch of people? Can they do that? Can they take over somebody and do something horrific, make them kill a bunch of people? Now, I'm not taking away their responsibility. I think somehow, in some way, even if they did this, these people still had some responsibility in it happening. But is it possible there's something demonic behind it?
For something like that, it would be very, very hard, because the kind of temporary possession I'm talking about, it's for like 10, 20 minutes. So I mean, they couldn't have planned it, got the weapons, gone and done it, in that entire span of time. I'm certain that a lot of the people that are involved in these things are definitely are definitely giving in to some demonic forces, but I wouldn't. The thing where someone has literally does it and has no idea what they've done, and then it comes out of it, usually those are things that are much more spontaneous, and certainly something like this. I mean, I would be willing to believe that at least one of the mass shooters is truly possessed. But it wouldn't be a temporary possession. That'd be a long-term possession.
Well, that's what I mean. I shouldn't have said temporary. I guess it is. I know in my mind that it would have been a long-term. But the idea that these things could take over somebody, obviously they do harm to people.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if what I started thinking about this is there's the classic video. I've showed this on one of my episodes, or a couple of my episodes, of Ed and Lorraine Warren. And the case they dealt with, I'm forgetting the gentleman's name, but they did on video, showed him during an exorcism, his head crack open, his eyes turned to slits, and later on he ended up trying to kill his wife, and then he seemed to fight with it inside of him, and he blew his own head off, basically, shot himself.
Yeah,
so he committed a brutal act, almost killed his wife, and seemed to be able to fight with it. But that to me, that means that these things could do real harm. I always tell people, it's not the spirits and ghosts don't scare me. People do. Now you add on the demonic on that. Now I'm scared of spirits and people together.
Yeah. I cannot tell you how many times I have been chased by people that were possessed. And I'm always grateful that apparently terror makes you a very fast runner.
It does.
Bicycles are powered by fear, and they don't run out of fuel.
Exactly. There you go. But and it's like, and I've had those moments where people were temporarily possessed, and I could tell they were, and they managed to get a hand on me and tried to transfer something or tried to do something.
Ooh.
Or whatever, and that's usually in large crowds where they're hoping it won't be noticed. But
maybe something you should go through, if you can, is a list of signs and things people can look for in themselves and others that can give them, and especially with paranormal investigators, when they go to a home where they're asked to deal with a case, things they need to look for that says, hey, this isn't your average thing.
I think you're psychic, Todd. That's where
Yay! In the lottery tomorrow.
All right.
Well, then you're reading a machine's mind, so good luck with that one. Sorry. Absolutely. When a person is being severely oppressed by a demon, which is it's less than possessed, it just means they're being harassed constantly and are under attack. There's a lot of things that will change. Their interest in things that they always have loved will change. Like, they'll suddenly stop, doing whatever it is, the thing that they love, they stop doing it. Or they will, sometimes they'll stop taking care of themselves, as far as the hygiene will go by the wayside. They will do things that would be normally repulsive to them. This is when, like, people with certain moral codes or certain beliefs about the world suddenly do something that's 180 degrees from what their core being would say that they would do. It's when they become really, really agitated, and sometimes can become violent around religious artifacts, any religion. Sometimes, that's not always a sign, but it can happen. People will start acting different, like it's a different personality has taken over. Some of these things, too, you have to be careful, because they can also be signs of mental illness. And I always say, go to your medical doctors, go to your psychologists. find out whatever might be wrong with you. I mean, God gave us medicine for a reason, and He gave us brains for a reason. Use them and try to figure out what a normal solution to your problem is. But especially with mental illness, that can go hand in hand with demonic oppression a lot, because, and who knows which one starts the other, but it certainly opens a door and kind of starts breaking down the barriers in your mind. They'll also stop interacting with the people they used to interact with. You know, they'll become a lot more moody and withdrawn and depressed. I mean, these are also symptoms of people that could be on drugs, you know, but there are similarities for a reason. As far as places that you can go into, if you're seeing a lot of shadows moving out of the corner of your eye, not like ghosts, but just things moving, or like a sensation that they're moving around you and they're not quite manifesting themselves, that a lot of times is demonic. The demonic also loves to play with mirrors, play with showing you things in mirrors that aren't there, or that or you see something, you think you catch an image in a mirror and then you don't, and it's, you know, suddenly there, not there, or you look at your own reflection and it's changed somehow. That is a big sign of a demonic activity. One of the most popular, of course, is I say that sarcastically, is if you go into a place and you get scratched or bitten, that's demonic. And I will say, as an aside, if you get scratched or bitten, get treatment as fast as you freaking can, because a demonic bite or scratch infects so much faster than any other kind.
Okay. Is there, for shorter list for people that have had less contact with somebody, the paranormal investigator walking in to the claim of ghosts last week, is there something that's going to give them a heads up of they might be over their head or something like that?
If things are actually interacting, if they're trying to, especially with the kids, if they're trying to talk to kids or talk through kids or get kids to say things, you know, that is a huge red flag. Oh, yeah. If there is a constant presence that is masquerading as a dead family member and has been there a while and is somewhat edgy or dark, that's a demonic presence. If you're, I mean, you can also have weird smells that appear inside the house. I mean, it's a cliche, but it can happen. It doesn't always happen, but it certainly can. There's also, if somebody gets attacked in their bed and grabbed, and something tries to, you know, do nasty things to them, that's a demon.
Or a Pokemon.
Or a Pokemon, as we found out earlier. Smoke appearing throughout the house, and, you know, going under doors and having a mind of its own can certainly be demonic. I've seen that happen too. Sometimes what people think of as poltergeist, with things being thrown around the room, can certainly be demonic. I've seen that happen as well. I think that for someone just going into a house, I mean, if something is interacting, and in more than just hey, it walked by and I saw it, that's a red flag. If something is trying to get people to do something, that's a red flag. If the personalities of any of the people in the house have changed, that is a huge red flag. And you can also, if you get really sensitive dogs or cats, you can help them learn to tell you the difference between ghost, demon, angel.
We have a phone call here on the Skype. Are you there? We have another Debbie. Are you there, Debbie?
Yes, I am, Jason. Hi, Debbie.
Hi, Debbie.
Hi.
Debbie.
I have an ITC-related question for you. The member of our group that runs the box and has a wonder box and portal, he has been...
Debbie, for people that don't know, ITC she's talking about is instrumental trance communication, or spirit box devices.
Sorry about that.
Nope, I just added in for there's some people that don't watch all the ITC stuff. So.
I gotcha. The spirits that have come across the box for us on that have warned us several times that demons can travel over radio waves and come through using an echo pedal on the box. Is that true?
I would...
I already think I know your answer.
Here's the thing. Demons can pop up where they want to. They don't necessarily have to travel through something. So to say that they're traveling through the radio waves or whatever, I wouldn't pretend to know that that's necessarily how they function. I mean, it's possible, but I do know that they can appear and disappear pretty much at random, or not random, at will, and they don't require tools like that for the most part.
So
I mean,
a Ouija board is just as dangerous as a spirit box.
I was gonna say, yeah, I say a Ouija board. I do say that's a bad idea because I know too many people who that's been the portal for oppression and then possession.
I've heard that many times as well. I think more or less, I don't know that they meant travel through, but that it draws them to us.
You know, anytime that they can pretend that they're something else,
yeah,
they will. You know, I mean, so many times, I mean, it is about deceit. And if they think they can manipulate by pretending to be a ghost or, you know, doing something else like that, they're going to. I've seen that happen too many times too, where, you know, and usually the things that are demonic, like I said, they are a little more interactive. They're trying to elicit behavior, or, you know, is usually what they're doing, and they're trying to manipulate people.
Now, by illicit behavior, do you mean just talking with someone back and forth? Because we have spirits that converse back and forth, and they've been around and are always there to talk. Is that what a demon does, or would that also be something a ghost could do?
I know for a fact a demon would and could do that. I have yet to encounter a ghost that does. I will not rule it out as a possibility, but every time I've encountered something where it was repetitive action like that and talking and not just repeating the same thing over and over, in my experience, it was demonic.
Okay, well, thank you for that information, and
You're welcome.
I will let the rest of the people in the group know that.
Sounds like Steve Huff needs to worry about Billy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm sorry. We've had the same 8 people talking in our group. The spirits that have come through, the same 8 have come through multiple times, and they've never asked us to do anything like for them, except for, you know, turn the echo down and don't use the radio waves because that'll bring demons. They don't ask you to do anything like magic for them. It's just something they tell us what they don't like about the radio and about the box, what pedals not to use, and they don't like the radio because they said it's going to bring evil.
When I'm say do something for you, it can be very subtle. I had a friend who, after I met her in a very bad period of her life, and she had been communicating with what she thought was the spirit of her dead brother, and it was a demon, and it was luring her in by trying to give her a feeling that it actually cared about her, and it was the only one that cared about her, and she could talk to it even if she couldn't talk to anybody else, and it was setting her up for possession, was what it was doing. And that was
common spirit box request is help me.
Yeah.
Oh yes, we've all had that one.
Yeah. Like, and I'd be like, hell no.
There's different opinions on that. You know, I have friends that they try to cross over spirits. And they seem to get a lot of responses to that when they say prayers for them to cross over into the light. And there's other people, even Steve Huff, that's into this big time and has his critics and his fans, has said, you don't know what you're talking to. He's even admitted, you don't know what you're talking to. You don't know, even if it's saying something that's personal, that you think it's a dead relative. It could be something dark. You don't know. We don't know what we're talking to. It's all
that is true.
It's questions. It's all
very much. Very much true. Very much true. Okay, thank you so very much, Jason, and thank you, Debbie.
Thank you.
Thank you, Debbie, for calling in. And I love Thomas's streams. I've been trying to catch him when I see him. Sometimes I catch him in the middle of something like, darn it, I can't watch.
Well, he just built a great new box, so come on in the next one you see pop up if you have a chance, okay?
That's right. He's got great live streams on Facebook.
All right. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
And so people know the Skype line is open. It's oojblandoo. I've seen a lot of people want questions. I have one from Christy in the chat room. She wanted to know what let me get this right. She says, can you ask Debbie what she thinks about guardian angels and guides if they interact with you?
Guardian angels and what was the second one?
Guides. spirit guides. I know whenever I talk to somebody that's involved in demonology or that they have a different opinion than a lot of people I know that watch the show, and that's fine. This show is about different opinions, so don't worry. You say what you gotta say.
Let me be perfectly clear. Angels hate it when they get caught. They hate interacting where they're being noticed. They don't want to talk. They want to do their job and they want to go. So if you think you have something that's trying to guide you, it's a demon. It is not an angel.
We got another call. And I told this one to call in.
Hello.
Hi, Lorley.
Yeah, hi, Jason. How are you?
Hi, how you doing tonight?
No, I'm not too bad. Listen, I really want to thank you, Debbie, for being here. You have answered a lot of questions.
Oh, thank you.
You know what? I found this dream most gratefully quite by accident the night, actually, that Steve Huff was on. And I think Carissa Fleck and Nikki, who I connected with. I live in northwestern Ontario in Thunder Bay. And we are having a possession like you could not possibly believe. We have been thrown downstairs. My husband's been thrown 8 feet, cut his arms up. My son has autism, and I mentioned in the chat room, I just took a video of him. He's 18, but he's quite limited verbally. And I did, actually, Jason, I haven't had a chance to send you this video, and he talks about the evil Justin versus the good Justin. And he had a very bad outbreak and behavior, very uncharacteristic like him, to do that over the past couple of years. And I videotaped him, and he was sitting there telling me, Mommy, I was on the inside, the good Justin, screaming and crying to get out and help, and he's almost broken one of his hands to stop it from hitting us. We have tried to get help everywhere we've gone. This sounds so crazy, and I swear to you, I'm not.
And for people who know, she showed me some of the pictures. Me and her have talked privately about this. I can definitely vouch to the validity of what's going on with her.
I think what really touched me, Debbie, is when you said, I don't like to get into it, but I have a couple illnesses. No rhyme or reason why. My husband is so debilitated. This is a man a couple of years ago that was an iron worker, and you know how powerful you have to be. He can barely climb up and down the stairs. It's affected us financially. You name it, we have been affected by this. But the really weird thing that's happened, and I think you touched a little bit on it, but you know, what happens is I may find someone that's going to help us or say they're going to help us. I don't hear back from them. I'll call them back, and it's like I never had the conversation with them, ever. Oh. I do know this is a demon. What happened was, I do not remember my dreams, but just before my first husband and I split up, I had a little business, a jewelry business, pet accessories. It was going beautifully. There's so many people that were offering to help me sell my things, didn't want anything in return. One night I had a dream. It was a demon that showed up to me, told me his name. I have never repeated it. Told me his animal form, and we have security cameras, and this animal form shows up on our doorstep every morning or at 1:11 in the evening, the early morning. Offered me everything I could possibly ever want, riches, success. And I basically said, F you in the dream. I called on Archangel Michael. There was a flash. But this thing has been possessing this house, hurting us. Even Carissa has had this demon visit her. She's already told me that. And I don't know what to do. I'm hoping that Carissa and Nikki can get up here to help us. They have advised us not to sage or anything. We tried doing that. The activity's only gotten worse. The only other thing I can say is everybody in our house has gifts. My husband, he's my children's stepdad, and my oldest son, they're able to see. I've been starting to be able to see what's around here, and I've never felt so alone because, like I said, this has affected us in every way possible. Even, neighbors never had. I've been in this house for 20 years, won't speak to us. I've had friends that are lifelong friends. I've never had a fight with them. They don't talk to me anymore, trying to get hold of them. It's been suggested in the past that possibly this could be a curse. I'm not sure what it is. I just want it to go the heck away.
Yeah.
First off, hugs. Big hugs to you.
Thank you. Thank you.
That is awful. That is truly awful. And I wish I could say that you're the only one I've ever heard that kind of stuff from, but you're not. But big hugs. Are you religious? Are you religious?
Yes, we are. My husband has been baptized in 3 different religions. His mother's very religious. She's actually a nurse, and so am I. We've known each other our whole lives. We have the same aunt and uncle, but through marriage. So I've known my husband, Del, since a small child. I'm baptized in the Catholic religion.
Okay.
I do not go to church because the way I believe that I believe in God, and I feel you don't have to go to a special building to, have a spiritual relationship. My children are baptized. None of us practice any dark arts in any way, shape, or form.
So
the other thing that somebody's...
You're all Catholic?
Yeah, Dell's actually, I think, Greek Roman Catholic. He's Greek Orthodox baptized. He's also half Native. So he has some of that spiritual Native, beliefs and stuff like that. Like
that
I
would
said...
explain the spirit animal part, because that was the only odd thing. Okay.
It made a lot of sense when you talked to family demons, though, especially on my mother's side. It has been suggested to me. My mother is a very heavy alcoholic. Everybody in her family is. There has been some alcoholism on Dell's side as well, but I had to cut contact off with my mother. She is just so toxic. But it's been suggested to me that she may even have accidentally cursed me because she doesn't believe in any of this stuff. I am a 3rd generation in our family with gifts as well. Sorry.
It's okay. Do you know any Native American shamans?
I even tried that. Same thing happened. I talked to this wonderful woman on the phone, lives in Thunder Bay. Her boss was out of town because it's female shamans at this place. I was outside at the time having a cigarette. I shouldn't smoke, and she was able to even tell me what I was seeing, because I will not ever repeat the name of this demon, but his animal form is a crow. She was able to pick up talking to me that it was in the tree, what it was. Said she called me back a couple days later, didn't hear from her. Called her back about a week and a half later. It was like she was terrified to speak to me. It was like she didn't remember most of what we had spoken about. And at the time she spoke to me, she was very open about coming to help. And this has happened so many times. Like, I've been dealing with this for about 8 years now, actively. And again, being so limited where we live. And that's the weird part. It's like anybody that is so gung-ho to help, once you talk to them again, they want nothing to do with it. This is way beyond me. This is too powerful, so on and so forth.
All right. They're going to do a couple of things, okay?
Okay.
First, did you hear what I said earlier about how you pray over your house and bless every room in your house?
Yeah,
you're going to do that. You do it with a vengeance, and do it every single day.
Okay.
If you want, you can use like anointing oils if that helps you focus, but it is not even a requirement. Okay. And your hand on the wall is all that you need. Okay.
Okay.
Be very, very purposeful when you do it, and actually, since you have gifts of being able to see things and stuff like that, I want you to visualize 2 things very strongly for each room. Okay.
Okay.
I want you to visualize literally painting the walls of each room with the blood of Christ. Okay?
Oh, okay.
Literally, let the blood roll down the walls in your mind and make that happen.
Okay.
And picture light coming from inside of you and pushing it out and filling the entire space and burning anything in its path. Okay? I want you to visualize those 2 things in every single room every single day. Okay?
Okay.
Don't forget your cars. Don't forget, any other buildings on your property or whatever. All right. I want you to get your family members involved with this as well, if they're interested, and also several times a day. At this point, given how much pressure you guys are under, I would say at bare minimum once an hour to start. Just stop and be very purposeful and tell anything demonic to get away from you. Invoke the blood of Christ and command it to go. Okay.
Because the one thing I forgot to mention is the demon that obviously I'm aware of did visit Carissa. Her and Nikki are quite busy this summer. They are willing to come and help. She said the one thing with this demon and why it's around me and makes me sick so much that it can't control me the way it can control everybody else in the house or whatever. And so it's around me. And anytime I try to get spiritually stronger, whether that be meditation, focusing on pulling in power from the universe, that's when I get extremely, extremely ill. I've almost died a couple times. That's how sick I've been.
I believe you. Don't focus on pulling in power from the universe. Focus on pulling power from the Holy Spirit. Okay?
Okay.
Because that is inside of you, and that is more power than you ever need for anything.
Okay.
Right? That is the light that you're pushing out of your body, and that is you taking responsibility for what's happening. All right. Since you are Catholic, it sounds like you're Catholic, but with some Protestant leanings, given the way you're practicing. If you pray the Rosary, go ahead and do that every day too, multiple times. And because if you're Catholic, if you believe that way, that will be helpful. If you don't,
I've been wearing one that was blessed by my children when they were baptized
that's
to
awesome.
try and protect myself.
Work that thing, you know. Okay. And you're also going to Jason will tell you how to get hold of me, and you're going to get hold of me after the show, and I'm going to put you in touch with a shaman who is going to help with some of those other parts. The Native American stuff, I'm learning it, but I am not an expert, and I am not up to speed to help on the level of what you're going to need for that. But 90% of your problem is Christian-based. 10% of it is the Native American based. They're merging together because of both those faiths in your house. And you're dealing, what it really sounds like you're dealing with is a fallen angel, and that is incredibly rare. And if it is, that means that you have some destiny that God really wants for you that it's trying to stop you from. Okay?
And I believe that because we were looking, I do angel cards. I have not touched them. I've been told not to. I also have had gifts, like I said, my whole life. And the more I've been learning and stuff, it's coming back to me with a vengeance. Like I'll know, like Jamie, who's in the talk room, she had a toothache the other night, last couple of weeks ago. And she went off before I was able to see my message. And I knew where her toothache was. Like I can pick that up. And so, like I said, can everybody in my home. Right. Like those kind of things. Like.
Okay. Don't mess with the angel cards. And if you're going to invoke God's help, and you can invoke angels to come help you as your part of your prayer. If you're going to focus on one, focus on Michael, because he's the one. Yeah, he's the one that kicks demon ass every time.
I love that.
And,
and I have, believe me, even my second child's middle name is Michael. So
excellent. But so you're going to want to do those things, but you need to be on it. And like I said, given the level of harassment you're getting, you have to be casting stuff out every hour, even if you feel fine. Because you need to be, at this point, even if you're having a good hour, don't assume that the next hour will be good until things start to seriously calm down. But we will work to get this figured out.
You know what? Thank you. And Jason, thank you from the bottom of my heart for letting me call. I did learn a lot from you, Debbie, and I'm really looking forward to talking to you again. Yeah. Thank you so much to everybody. You've all been so supportive.
Hugs. I told her tonight in chat room, like, you better call in tonight. You have to call in on this one for sure.
Yeah, that's a good one to call in on.
Yes, thank you very much. I won't take up the rest of the chat in case somebody else wants to call. There's a lot of good questions.
Somebody else here in a second, but
go ahead. Thank you. No, thank you, you guys. Right, talk to you soon.
Talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Do you want me to give her your email?
Yes, give her my email, please.
Okay, I will definitely do that. Okay, I got another one here. I have to call her because she doesn't have Skype, so give me 1 second. This is for people to know that this is my cell signal through a cell line, so the audio might be a little difficult, but I've gotten it to work. I did a whole interview with it before, so let me make sure I get this right.
And anybody that's so inclined, throwing prayers Lori's way probably wouldn't be a bad thing.
Excellent idea. Yes. The more people you can have praying for you when you're going through crap, the better.
Yeah, no kidding. Everybody definitely pray for her. I know she's going through a lot.
Hello.
Hi, Bonnie.
Hi.
Hi. I'm glad you're able to get through tonight. I know you were trying a couple different ways to get you on, so I'm glad you're here. So what do we got going on, Bonnie?
I don't know. It's been going on for a long time, and I think that they come through my attic from a cemetery outside. I've taken pictures where it appears to be people in the sky.
That's creepy.
Yeah.
And at certain times of month that I can actually feel them more so in the house,
Mm-hmm.
and an awful smell in the hallway upstairs.
Ew. Okay. Anything else happening?
I woke up at like, I think it was 1 o'clock, just in the hallway. But I also took pictures. I remember taking the pictures, and then don't know what happened. I was wide awake. And I've had brain scans, I've had everything done possible. So it's not my mind. It's this house.
The best thing you can do, just as a preventative measure and to try to get a baseline and see what's happening, is go ahead and bless your house, bless all the rooms, the garage, the cars, etc. And every morning when you get up and every night before you go to bed, whatever religion you're on, or whatever religion that you believe, invoke that and tell whatever has been harassing you to stay away. Okay? But definitely, it should start to help. If what you're experiencing is demonic, then that should start to help. It'll take a while for it to go away completely because you need to be consistent. But you see, especially when like you're right in the middle of something, seeing something or smelling something, make sure that you do it. You say something about it right then. And if it goes away or alleviates, that's a good sign that what you're dealing with is demonic and that you're on the right path and you need to keep going.
Yeah, because this thing actually made my son and I leave for 18 months.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
And I took off. I brought him to Florida as fast as I could go. And I've also gotten rid of certain antiques. So I know it's something that I put out in the garage and something I threw away, got rid of something.
That's good.
But it's still here.
There's still something there. If you can, are you religious?
I go to church, yeah.
Okay. What I would do then is I would pray. When you're blessing each room, pray that if there's something in that room that you need to find and get rid of, that you would find it. And take a time and just feel the space around you and see if you're getting pulled any one direction or another, or if you touch something and you kind of feel a little weird about it, or if there's something or a direction that you're not looking, that you keep you keep passing out, like you look right, left, front of you, but you refuse to look behind you. Look behind you. Make it purposeful. And as you're going through and blessing your house each day, try to pray and ask to be enlightened if there is something that needs to go. Because if you got rid of something, if you got rid of a couple things and it got better, then that's a good hint too that you had some cursed items or with demonic energy attached to them, and it would not surprise me if there's more. So if you can find the rest of them, that should alleviate most of it.
Well, I'll try. Okay. And I also know that I have a big feeling that it did make me sick, because I would never go in the attic, and I redid my attic, and I would spend days and days up there.
Okay. And do you go in your attic now?
No.
So maybe there's still something up there that's the problem.
And my dog barks at the wall.
Yeah, that would be a problem usually.
And that's where I think they come in from.
You might want to talk to a handyman and see if they can just do some exploratory work on the wall and see if there's anything hidden back there.
That's what I was going to say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's like the wall in our studio, Jason.
Yep.
Sounds good.
Yeah, you never know what someone's walled up in there.
Yeah, you might find someone that's been walled up.
Yeah, hopefully not, but it could be.
My in-laws, all of them say the same thing, that attic, something was always up there, even when they were kids.
Yeah, then you need to either get out of the house or get whatever's in the attic out of the attic.
Yeah.
It didn't follow you when you went to Florida or wherever you went to?
It didn't follow me, no. And when I came back, it was dormant, I guess, for 2 years. And last year it started coming back.
These things can go dormant. I've my own, be it spirit or be it demonic, I know these things can go dormant for a while and then just suddenly come back with a vengeance.
Yeah.
Yeah, my son, he had scratches on his back. And the
That's
thing
demonic.
used to choke him.
Yep. You need
And
to.
now it's coming after me because my son said he would never come back here again.
Oh, that's sad.
Okay. So yeah, you need to be blessing the house and protecting yourself and casting things out and searching that attic. Because something.
I think it is up in the wall in the attic.
Then I think you need to take down that wall and check it out.
Yep.
Because even if there's nothing there, if that's where you're fixated, you're not going to look anywhere else until you've known for sure whether that was it.
Because when I popped out of whatever I was in, because I know I was wide awake, I took the pictures. Jamie saw them, and I woke up in the hallway just before the steps going up to the attic. I hit the door.
Okay.
Bob,
Yeah.
like you need a clean house. You know,
Yeah.
so you gotta take care
I've
of
done
it.
the stage. I've done the
Not
stage
that.
numerous times. The salt, everything.
No, not that. I mean,
No.
you need to get, like she said, you got to get a guy up there. You got to find out what's going on. You know?
Yes.
Right.
And then pray over the walls in the attic especially.
Yeah, if it's a physical object, or some people call it a fetter, if it's bound to something, that's what you got to look for.
Right.
Like bone, teeth, or whatever. Okay, I will.
Well, thank you, Bonnie, for calling in. And
Good luck.
You know,
But
again,
thank you for all of your help.
And again, just like for Laura Lee, you know, people pray for you too, because you know these things are dangerous, and you know you can't live this way. And it's sad that your son can't come back. You know, won't come back to your house. You know, it's
He won't come back.
family.
He just told me
It's awful.
today. He's never coming back.
That's all. That's so sad. And
Yeah.
hope you can get help and get this figured out. And you know, would you be willing to give your email to her to talk to you more about this too?
Sure.
That's fine.
Okay, I'll get you guys two connected too, because I mean, you might get a lot of people trying to look you up after this show.
I would not be surprised. It has happened before. It'll happen again.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Bonnie.
But thank you. Have a good night.
You too. Yeah, this is the most calls, just so you know, I've ever had on our show.
Awesome! I win.
Yeah,
You do.
By a landslide.
That's funny. I do want to say really quick that one of the things I haven't told people, and I should be telling them, is a very mighty tool that we have at our disposal is our laughter. Because demons work in secrecy and fear, and if you can start laughing at what they're doing, they will change tactics. I mean, I used to get scratched and bitten all the time, and the last time I got scratched, I just forced myself to laugh hysterically about it. You can even force laughter, even if you don't feel like laughing. Just make yourself do it. And
Does it help if we say ridiculous?
It does help if you say ridiculous. And
totally
let me tell you, the last time I got scratched, I had a field day. I kept laughing and laughing. I'm like, oh, look, I have to get the world's teeniest Band-Aid. And I kept mocking it, and I haven't been scratched since.
That's awesome.
Because
It's like-
I robbed it of the power that it had over me. I
And that's
robbed
what-
it of the fear.
Honestly, and you hit on something. You know, me being a Gnostic, I don't have a religion or a God to call upon. I do believe in God, but I don't give it a name or anything. But that's how I've always treated it ever since my encounter with something dark, is that I don't let fear get to me with it. It's not trying to be bravado. It's just I know by being positive, by laughing, and being, you know, that it helps. I've even recommended people who've had dark stuff going on in their houses to throw a party. Not an alcohol crazed out boggle, but throw a party with your good friends, have a good time, laugh. You know, people moving into a new home, I've told this, they've had weird stuff happen, or the energy seemed bad, or there was or there had been something bad that's happened there. I'm like, throw a party, you know, have a good time there, have good friends, and just lots of laughing and joy, because that can clear an energy out. Just that alone, you know.
That's why I try to stay positive. You know, the shitstorm that I've gone through for years, and even in the studio, I have people that say they feel dark or scary, creepy presences or whatever from it, and I've never ever felt that foreboding or darkness. And to me, it was the entertainment, the response Abby got. We had a closet door pop open, and we were both sitting there, and she's like, well, did you open? I said, no, of course I didn't. I was right here. She was, well, who could have done that? And boom, big bang comes right from the basement. She about jumped out of her skin, and I about fell over laughing.
Yep. That's how I am about it too. And I get excited, but
There's your answer.
Yep. And I know you probably don't like it, but once a month we do a show on here that is a spirit box session because for me, I'm an experimenter and all that stuff, and we experiment with a live spirit box session. We see if it replies to people in the chat room and the people in the panel or people who call in. And I've known other people that get negative things. We've never got anything that sounded negative or wanted anything from us or anything like that. And one of the reasons is I say it's because I'm a jackass on the show. I'm joking when I'm talking to the spirits. I'm having fun when I'm doing it. I've got another call here. We got Sandy.
Wow, that's loud.
Hey, Sandy, how you doing?
Oh, could be better. How are you, Jason?
How you doing? I had a feeling you were going to call in tonight. This is another person who's called into the show before who has a very dark haunting going on.
Hi, Sandy.
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing okay.
I'm good. You have to forgive me. I have some puppies that are a little noisy, so...
Don't hold back on the information. The more she gets, the better she can answer your question.
Thank you. That is very true.
Okay. Hold on a second. Aye, guys. Anyway, it's gotten, I'm gonna, as you know, Jason, the 2-year anniversary of Bill passing away was, the 15th of July.
I'm sorry.
And from that day on, things have ramped up to such a point that I'm actually, you know what, I'm not scared anymore. I'm actually angry, and I feel like that in a lot of respects, I've become like Bill.
Sandy, do you want me to, for you, summarize for her really quick, because you've called in the show, we've had her on the show about what happened to her. Do you want me to summarize for her really quick kind of what's been happening with you?
Please.
Sure.
Or do you want to summarize it?
No, I'm actually having issues with getting the words out of my mouth.
Okay, all right, that's what I wondered. So I'll try to, and correct me if I get anything wrong, Sandy, go ahead and stop me. Sandy's been on the show before. We've shown some of the pictures she's taken, and well, a spirit took in her home by taking her own camera on her phone while she was sleeping and taking pictures. We've had some weird, crazy evidence, even a growl come across on the show while she was on. What happened was Sandy's husband passed away. He was, what, 36?
39.
39.
Wow.
From what was believed to be a heart attack. But the thing is, he seemed to be followed and maybe demonically, or if you want to say it's demonic, I don't know, but something dark throughout his life had followed him and harassed him all of his life. And at the point when they were trying to get him help is when he died.
Okay.
There's even a picture of his as we showed on the show, of him in the casket or whatever, of a spirit face showing up next to him in that casket. There's a lot of crazy evidence to go along with this story, and I'm trying to summarize as quick as I can. There was even a knife Sandy found in her bed one night. She found this knife, right, Sandy, in his one of his boxes that he had, right? An old knife. And she tried to get rid of this old knife, and it ended up in her bed one night. She tried to put it away and ended up in the ferret cage?
Yeah.
Yeah. A friend of ours was on the show with her, Katrina Cooper, a wonderful medium and friend of mine. We both kind of got this feeling is that these things started for him is when he found this knife when he was a boy. Now, we can't confirm that. She doesn't know if he found this knife when he was a boy, but somebody I trust as a medium who's really good at what she does, and I even felt that before she said anything, that this is a knife that this thing's attached to.
That would be the easiest explanation,
Yeah,
that's for sure.
Christina was in the chat room. I don't know where she's gone.
Yeah, she's had trouble watching. She's got storms going on right now where she's at. So as best as I can summarize it is that now that he's passed, its new focus is Sandy. And it's been messing with her in many ways, including her health.
All right.
So,
Sandy, you need to get rid of that knife.
She has tried.
The knife is gone.
Yeah.
It is gone.
Oh, it's gone?
But it's not ended. So
okay. You need to. I sound like a bit of a broken record, but
it's all right.
It is what it is. You need to go through every room in your house and bless it. And was your husband religious? Are you religious?
Not anymore. I'm not. No.
Were you once?
Yeah.
Which religion?
Lutheran.
Okay. And how about your husband?
Same.
Okay. So you need to bless every room in the house. Put your hand on on the wall in every room. Bless it. Bind any demons that are there and cast them out. You need to go through your house top to bottom. Garages, everything else, cars, and do that. When you're in it, I want you to actually pray for focus to find anything else that might have something negative attached to it, like that knife. When you're doing that in every single room. One of the other things I want you to do too is there any space in the house that was particularly his that feels dark or negative at the moment? Like an office or anything else?
The room I live in.
The room you live in feels like him?
All the time. As a matter of fact, something just happened while you were talking. But go ahead.
Yeah, you need to gut the room. What you need to do is you need to redecorate it completely. I'm talking paint the walls, do wallpaper, change the furniture, and you need to make that room you and not him. Okay? You need to reclaim that room for you, and it needs to not feel like him when you're in it, because it could be whatever was tormenting him and dogging him might have also been a part of him, and if it's lingering on, then you need to change the room so that it gives it a completely different feel, a completely different energy, and literally take it back. Make it yours and not his. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I do, and that's something that I've been wanting to do. Unfortunately, and I'm not sure how close Jason pays attention to what's going on my Facebook, but I've been kind of hit with a lot of health problems. October, I had a heart attack myself.
Sorry.
And I'm told now that I'm pre-diabetic. I'm also, they're testing me for multiple sclerosis because I live in constant pain, and I have a hard time doing simple things like walking to the bathroom.
You need to also be binding any spirits and casting them out who might be harassing you physically and causing you injury like that. But you need, getting the energy of him out of that room is a priority. I mean, if you have friends who can come over and have a painting party, you can buy two buckets of the cheapest paint you can find at Home Depot and get the neighbor kid to paint the room for $50 or whatever. Toss out the furniture and go get something from Goodwill if you can't afford something else. Just be cautious about what you're choosing at Goodwill. And you need to make the space different. It needs to feel like you and not him, because that's helping whatever was attached to him to stay there. A lot of times this happens when people have older relatives who are living with them who have a lot of negative energy and have died. You need to renovate the space. In this case, I'm sorry your husband died so young, but you really need to own that space and make it yours, or you need to get out. That's my best advice for you. But every day you need to be blessing the space. You need to be binding any demons in the name of Jesus Christ, with his blood, and ordering them out. I know that you're not religious anymore, but the fact that you were once religious and the fact that he was religious means that these things have access to you, and that's the only language they're going to speak.
Okay, because I'm honestly starting, and I really do believe in Christy at Pacified Paranormal will probably tell you. I'm really starting to believe that it's not the house anymore, and it's me, because they go everywhere I go.
Then you definitely need to be... Are you wearing any jewelry that's not yours, like that you inherited from somebody? Or of your husband's?
Yeah, I'm actually wearing my husband's ashes.
Okay.
You need to stop doing that.
I don't know that one either.
And you need to put him to rest somewhere that's not your home. I would, wherever he would have liked to have been spread or have his ashes spread. If you're carrying that around with you, though, that is a magnet. Whatever was attached to him is going to be attached to you until you get rid of that. And I'm sorry, and that's awful, and that sucks, but that's what it is.
And it's not, and I know this too, is that you're not trying to say anything that her husband was bad or anything.
No, not at all.
No, it's just that the negative energy that was attached to him.
Him is still attached to what's left of him that she's carrying around with her. Yeah, so you need to get rid of that. You need to reclaim the house for yourself. It's hard, and it'll be emotionally draining, and hopefully you have some friends or family who can help you through that. But that's what you need to do to get some peace and to get some freedom.
Okay.
Anyway,
I mean,
hugs.
it's not my house, so I don't have permission to do that.
Okay. Well, at least is the furniture yours?
In the bedroom, yes.
Then I would still try to even if you can't get new furniture or gently used furniture somewhere, rearrange the furniture. Do something to make the flow of energy in that room completely different than it has been.
Make a lot of sense.
Yeah, I don't know if you. I mean, it's like the whole concept of like feng shui and how energy flows through a place. That dark energy and demonic energy can kind of it can leave a stain and a residue on a place, and if energy is trapped and flowing a certain way, it'll always do that until you actually change things up.
Okay. I've been thinking about doing that.
You need to do that.
Sandy, we've talked about this, and I have seen, this show's popularity has grown, I made a lot of friends on Facebook. I try to pay attention as much. I have seen your health problems. I worry about you. I agree with her on this 100%, and I've thought this about your situation before, is that you have to find a way to get him to move on, and you have to move on. And I think the advice she's given you, you really got to think about.
As hard as it might be letting go.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm trying.
I know, Sandy. And like I said before, the other people, I think being a Gnostic doesn't mean I don't believe in prayer and help from higher forces. And I do believe people in the chat room, please pray for Sandy. I know you're going through a lot.
Absolutely. You're going to be okay.
Yeah. Thank you, Sandy, for calling in, and keep in touch still.
Oh, I'm.
Okay. Well, I have to go. It is 2 minutes past the hour of when my wife says the show should be done. Thank you, Sandy. You have a good night, too. All right. Like I said,
Bye, Sandy.
Yeah, you won the record. She's gone now, but she is in the chat room, so I'm sure she's listening. You won the record of most phone calls on a Paranormal Soup. And I had a feeling you would, because I do a Facebook event page for every show, and I never saw a Facebook event page fill up so fast with people saying they're going or interested in a show than it was when I posted your.
That's cool.
Like I said, people are fascinated with the dark side of the paranormal. I think it's in our nature.
It is, and what's crazy is more people have had experiences than people think. You know?
Well, it's the scary part, so everybody definitely wants to know how to be safe.
Yeah.
That's exactly it. That's exactly it. People want to know, if I do run into something demonic, what do I need to do? And
exactly.
I think, whenever I've had, anything on about demons or whatever, it's been the most popular episodes. And I don't do it because it's the most popular episodes. I do it because it's something I care about. My experience, if it was demonic or not, I know there's dark forces out there. I know they can hurt people. And I know, as you saw tonight with the phone calls that we had in the show, there are people out there suffering from this, and there's no one for them to turn to. It's hard to find people you can trust. You don't want to call. I'm a paranormal investigator. I have a team, but you wouldn't want to call us for these really bad dark situations. Maybe to document what's going on so we can get you help.
Right.
But the thing is, we're not the ones that are going to be able to help you. You gotta be able to fight this battle, and you got to get people that are really warriors in this battle, like Debbie here, to help you get it done.
Well, there's so many other things in the paranormal world. When you tell anybody about it and look for help, well, guess what? Now you're crazy.
That's what most people are afraid is going to happen. What's fascinating to me is, of all the people I have talked to, probably 60% have actually come forward with a story of something demonic that not even their spouse knew. And it's amazing. So everybody thinks they're the only one, and the truth is, there are so many people out there who've had similar experiences.
Yeah, I believe that. I definitely believe it. And when these things happen, they hit you right in the most personal areas.
Mm-hmm.
So it's
Absolutely.
not, they don't make it easy for you to talk about, even with people who would believe you.
Exactly.
They don't make it easy. I know that from my own personal experience. So thank you so much, Debbie, for
Well,
coming
thanks
on
for
the
having
show.
me on.
For people, where can they check out? One, you're a great fiction writer. You have a plethora of books. Where can they find those?
You can find them at Amazon, BarnesandNoble.com, wherever books are sold. But
And your website is?
DebbieViguie.com, and it's DEBBIE, V as in Victor, I, G as in George, UIE.com.
And that's for your books and your work in the fiction world.
Right.
Are you open to people? Is there any way that people can get a hold of you when it comes to the side of your demonology?
Yeah, I have a Facebook page, facebook.com/author Debbie Viguie, and I am very slow to get to them because there's a backlog, but I do respond to private messages that are sent to my author Debbie Viguie page.
All right, awesome. And to Lauralee and Bonnie, I will get you guys the email to get you the hookup with Debbie here, especially Lauralee. I know I really wanted you to call into the show tonight, so I knew this was a show for her. She's called into many, but this was definitely the best show for her to call into, and I was really happy she got to talk to you tonight. Yeah. And same with Sandy too. Sandy's one from the very beginning that I know she's got a lot of dark stuff going on, and it's complicated. It would be all right if I gave you her your email to her too, if she needed to contact you for any further questions?
That'd be fine, yeah.
Okay, I will. All right, thanks everybody. This was a great show. Thank you everybody in the chat room tonight. I saw a lot of new people in the chat room. I know some shows they go and they read off the chat room thing. It's hard for me to do that because I try to watch the chat room, but I have to pay attention to my guests. So I don't want to say people's names are in the chat room because I'm going to miss half of them. But I do thank all of you guys in the chat room tonight. You are an amazing chat room. I thank you for the support you showed to the people who called into the show tonight. And some people don't believe in this, but I think most of the people that watch my show do. So they're a very supportive group. All right, guys, next week we're going to talk about the UFO Highway with Anthony Sanchez. Yes, many of you guys know him from his GhostHunterApps.com, but we're not going to be talking about spirit box apps. We're going to be talking about aliens. It's a passion of Anthony's. I've wanted to get him on the show to talk about. As far as I know, he's still good to do the show. So that'll be next Sunday, 10 p.m. to midnight. And Debbie, I would love, with how many people I had call in, I'm sure there's still more that would want to talk to you. Would you be up on coming on the show again in a future date?
Absolutely. I'd love to come back on.
I would definitely will have you on again because there's a lot more to talk about on this subject.
Oh, there is.
So much more. I'd like to get into the whole structure of the demonic realm.
Absolutely. We can talk about that next time, yeah.
I think that would be a great show. So I will talk to you on Facebook. We will book you for another show here in the future very soon.
Okay.
All right, guys. Thanks for watching Paranormal Soup tonight. All you guys watching, all your support, it means the world to me, and I couldn't do it without all of you. See you next Sunday, same bad time, same bad channel, 10 p.m. to midnight. Guys, have a great night. See you next
Bye.
Sunday.
Night, everyone.
Bye.
Good night.
Like I said at the beginning of the show, whenever I do something else along the lines of the demonic, I definitely know I get a lot of views for it. But that's like I say again, I don't do it to get the views. I do it because I do feel passionate about the subject, and I joke a lot on the show, but this is a subject I take very seriously. There are dark forces out there. As Gnostic as I am, I believe there are things out there that lurk in the dark that try to get to us and get to our souls. I'm a believer in that. I've had my own experiences I've shared on this show. We will have Debbie Viguie back on the show again for sure. I know there's a lot more questions, a lot more we can talk about, and I will definitely get her scheduled and let you guys know when that will be. Thanks again. See you guys next Sunday, 10 p.m. to midnight with Anthony Sanchez on the UFO Highway. We'll be talking about aliens. All right, guys, have a great night. See you next Sunday.